how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. This is my normal Wednesday chat, 7 Eastern Standard Time, and I'm here with Matt Bear. Did I say your name right?
Bar.
Yes, great. I'm on a record of saying the wrong, pronouncing names wrong. So why should today be any different, right?
Yeah, why not?
I'm sorry about that. And I first
Matt
became aware.
Behar.
Yeah,
well, really
my last name is Bua, and nobody can pronounce
Behar.
it.
Behar. What's going on, man?
So introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Matt Barr. I am part of Comicsgate. I am a creator. I'm an illustrator. I work on comic books. How's that?
That's pretty good.
How's that? Z's. We got some Z's already. Holy shit. Oh, what's up? Oh, okay, I thought he was taking a nap. I was like, well, we just started. You're already bored.
Yeah, I know. Well, I do that to people.
Yeah. So like outside of Comicsgate, I do storyboards. I do special projects for the NFL.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I do a bunch of stuff. I do a bunch of stuff for Epic Games. You know, the company that puts out Fortnite. I've done some stuff for them. Just wrapped up some stuff for ESPN yesterday. Cool. So that's that's like my day job. And then when I'm not doing that, I'm just rocking and rolling on Twitter and drawing comic books. Rock and Roll Ninja did that. I did a whole bunch, dude. Like the list of stuff that I've done within CG over the last like 2 years is it's ridiculous.
Yeah. I've been following your boy Zach. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, you know, diversity in comics. Now it's Comics Matters. Richard C. Meyer. I've been following him. I just happened to stumble upon him at the beginning. I think there was like something in the zeitgeist. People in comic books were just tired of something.
Yes.
You know? And you are now one of his artists. So I was like, I want to talk to this guy.
Thanks, man. Yeah. You know, like you, I was just like listening to him. I was at work. I was an art director at this screen print shop. So I wasn't doing a lot of artwork at the time. I was just kind of like reviewing the people that we had. I was just like making sure their shit was kosher. Like little Gordon Ramsay of the fucking Office, right? So as I'm sitting there, I'm like listening to YouTube channels, YouTube stuff. And I just like stumble across your boy.
Yeah, I don't know how. And I really don't. It just came across my YouTube feed or whatever you call it.
Yeah. And I think it was like maybe had to do with like Trump, right? I was like watching some Trump stuff because I support Trump. So I don't know if like that's it. That's kind of I don't quite remember the algorithm of how he got onto my suggestions, but. I listened to a couple of them. I was like, man, this guy's like,
he's saying what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and he's saying what I'm thinking, but like a little bit funnier.
Yeah,
like he
more eloquent. I remember a few times explaining to my wife what he said, but he would like say it more succinctly, and I'm like, oh man, this guy. That was his gift. Yeah. I don't think he thought anything different than anybody else, but he was able to eloquently and succinctly,
Yeah, because there was like something going on where like I wasn't really buying mainstream comic books anymore, dude. I was like, I think I was buying like Walking Dead and Batman at that point. You know what I mean? I was like, I wasn't really interested in anything else anymore because it was all kind of getting really goofy. And he was just hitting the right notes. You know, he was hitting the right notes.
The nonsense that he went through was incredible.
He, at one point he was like. And I think I probably said this on the stream before, but at one point he was like, the comic book the Marvel that you want to work for is dead, and that was like, holy shit.
Yeah,
It didn't even, because up to that point, like Marvel isn't taking portfolios. Marvel's now like, hey, if we want you, we'll fucking we'll knock on your door.
Recruiting people that shouldn't be working in comic books. Let's be
realistic. So it's like, so everybody who's been like working on their portfolios and everybody who's basically in fucking Comicsgate right now, you know what I mean? The Joe Suntags and some of the other people, like they should be at Marvel. You know what I mean? Like Joe should be doing Moon Knight right now.
Yep.
And so instead of doing that, instead of finding like the real talent and the real people who like love the craft, they're just like hiring like weird like Tumblr people. So
Now, do you think are they hiring because they're politics, or are they hiring because they're cheap? Marvel.
I think the politics. I think it's the politics. I think it's the identity politics.
Yeah, yeah.
I do.
You know, it's funny. I kind of got in like a tiny little controversy about 3 years ago when I first started doing all my stuff. I was reading the back issue. Do you remember Marvel Comics used to do those coolometers? And one of the things that was uncool was identity politics. So I took a picture of it, put it on Twitter.
Oh
And
shit!
and I'm trying to remember who it was, but it was one of the editors at Marvel said, "I'm going to keep this for the receipts." I was like, "Fine." I said,
What does that mean?
I said, "This is your company said this, not me."
Yeah.
Whatever. Fine. Cool. I'll gladly admit that I agreed with Marvel in the 1990s.
Yeah. Oh, totally. And then
Well, you got me.
and so then like a couple more videos. Now I'm subscribed to them. Now I'm like kind of like listening to them a little bit closer. I'm going back to the videos and listening to some of them. And then he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm having a problem finding artists to work with,
Yeah.
because of the heat that they're getting." And I
They're
was just
scared.
like,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm fucking sitting in this fucking office. I was like, I fucking like, fuck it. Like the place that I want to work for is dead. Like I might as well just like reach out to him. And so I did. I was like, "Yo, I'll fucking work for you." And so he emailed me back, and then within 24 hours, I mean, we had probably emailed each other back and forth like 50 times. Like we had
Cool.
like hashed out like what we were gonna do together.
Did he ask you like,
Yeah.
"Are you sure you want to work with me?" Because these weirdos are going to come after you, and you know.
No.
No.
I mean, I think that was just a given. I think that was a given. It's not. It hasn't been too bad. It hasn't been too bad.
For the
I mean,
most part, I
there's
think the wave is crested, and I think people are starting to see the
Yeah.
the
I
writing
think
on the wall.
earlier, like there was a lot more love for Zach, but then the Wade thing, like people got poopy pants with him
Yeah,
after that, and like it was like as soon as I started working on Rock and Roll Ninja, there was like a whole like influx of like people being poopy pants with Zach. You know
yeah,
what I mean? And like, yo,
yeah.
I'm not
I
going to
totally
support
agree.
anything that Zach does. Like Zach fucking, he pushed out. I'm not doing any, blah 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 blah.
I've
It
never
was like,
sued anybody, and I imagine it's expensive, and I imagine it's a drain, and
yeah,
walk a mile in a man's shoes is the way I look at it. So the guy's been in what 2 different branches of the military, served a couple of tours. I'll
yeah.
trust him when
Well, it came down to like the lawyers were the ones who were gonna like end up winning,
right.
and also it came down to like he had to prove monetarily like how much he lost. Like I don't quote me on this because I'm not fucking legal, but
Yeah.
it was like okay, like the judge was like, yes, Mark Wade fucked with you. There's definitely like some fuckery. Now
Torturous
you
interference.
yeah. What's the real world? What's the real word?
Torturous. I don't know.
Yeah. It's
Tort-
that. There's
yeah,
some fuckery, right? So the
yeah.
court is
He
like,
tortured him.
clearly there's some fuckery. So how much did this cost you? Right. And so the problem with Zach was like, well, I took the project to Indiegogo and made
Right.
a fuck ton of money, and I got to
Yeah, he
keep most of
explained
it.
that.
Yeah, so it's like I don't know. Some people like didn't hear that, when he
Right,
explained it, and were like, "Hey, fuck Zach."
Don't you remember he went for like a month saying like, "Don't throw me into the Briar Rabbit," don't throw me into the Briar Patch. Like how much would he have made at Antarctic Press? Let's be realistic.
Yeah.
I like Antarctic Press. They put out some good stuff. But I don't know anybody saying that they're making a fortune on a Antarctic Press. And then he went on Indiegogo and kept his money and rolled it into hiring you and everything. So yeah, it would have been hard to prove. I agree with you.
So I jam on him. Sometimes he does some weird decisions, and I mean,
yeah,
I don't care. He's gonna do what he's gonna do.
Right. He's a truly unique thinker. I disagree with him on a lot of things. I disagree with Ethan Van Sciver on a few things, and I'm sure me and you are going to disagree on a few things.
Yeah,
But
that's okay.
But we're adults. My, we're adults. My wife's sitting over here. She disagrees with me about most everything, but
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
so you've been a long time, Zach. Had you ever remember him talking about electrician over at Marvel a few times?
No,
Oh,
no, I
that was
don't
me.
recall that.
I was one of
Oh,
his
that was
insiders.
you.
Yeah, I was Marvel's electrician for a couple of times, and I told the story like maybe last week, but I'll tell you, I'm up on a ladder
Hmm.
doing a opening up a panel box, and I'm rewiring stuff because one of the outlets used to blow, and they would get pissed off because they're typing away and the computer would go out. They had all the editors around. This is probably around 2000. I'm going to say 2009, and they're all the editors are in
Okay.
a circle, and they trying to come up with an event, and they were all wrong. They were misinterpreting the. I mean, they were saying this guy's powers were this, and this guy was in this story, and I'm like, no, this guy wasn't in this. I'm on the ladder in the middle of this meeting. I
Hmm.
felt like coming down and yelling at the ball. You shouldn't be an editor because of this. How dare you work in Marvel Comics when I'm the electrician and I know more than you. But I'm representing my company, so you gotta, you know.
Yeah, it's like how many of the people there are, and I think I mentioned this once, was that like you're dealing with people working in the comic book industry who don't have a connection to the industry
Right, right.
at all, which that's just like time, but it's also poor hiring, right? So you have
I
like
don't blame
the
the
Stan
employees.
Lees, and you have like all the Stan Lees and the original creators. So there was some love and respect for the characters, some because they were the creators, and then you had the next guys, and they were
The Roy Thomases and Steve
yes,
Garlands, yeah,
yes, the Marv Wolfmans, you know what I mean,
yeah.
like those guys who like
They were fans from
knew
the
the
day they were born.
creators and
Yeah,
like worked with the creators, so there was some respect and like stewardship. And then you had the 70s, with the guy that took over Marvel and like cleaned it all up. Like you had
Jim
like
Shooter.
Jim Shooter, right, who like grew up reading comic books and loved them
Yep.
and was like there and was like, I want to draw comics. I want to work at Marvel.
Right.
So
That was their
now you
childhood
don't
dream.
have that, right? You have people who are like kind of like sidestepping, you know what I mean? They're like, yeah, I did like liberal arts, but now I got like a little side job at Marvel and like I'll like flip it and go work at Random House, but like I'm not really interested in comics.
This
Like
will look
there's
good
there's
on
a
a
lot of
resume.
that, dude.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that, and it's just proof with like the WandaVision show. You know what I mean? Where like you're watching and everybody's like, "Holy shit, is it Mephisto?" And like the woman who's running the show doesn't even know who
Yeah.
Mephisto is.
Yeah. I
So
heard that too.
you're like, what the fuck? Who's running this? So it's like I can't get mad at her, and I don't know if I can get mad at like the editors. It's like who's
No,
hiring the editors?
I get mad at the editors. I get mad.
Well, I mean, it's just like okay, like so
For every
there's
Vita
somebody
Ayala,
hiring
she's
the
just taking a
editors.
job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's somebody hiring these people who like they almost need to have like a fucking
A
an
gatekeeping
exam. You know
exam.
what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
who's Speedball and what is his powers? What fucking country is Doctor Doom from? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I mean, just like normal questions, like maybe some shit that's like
Show
not
me
in
a
the
picture. The
MCU.
first, Matt, I'm hiring you to. I'm the editor. I'm the boss of Marvel Comics, and you're applying. The first thing you got to do is show me a picture of your comic book collection. That's the first thing. First thing. I got
Boom.
you standing in next to your comic book, and I don't want to see a comicology account. I
Yeah,
want, I
yeah,
want to
yeah. I want to see
see read.
long boxes.
Yeah, I want to see long boxes of
Yeah, dude.
well-read comics. That's it. And if you can't do that, I'm sorry. You're gonna tell me there's 8 billion people on this planet. You're gonna tell me we can't find, I don't know, how many people are working at Marvel at any given point. We can't find 25 people with like a stupid collection of comic books.
Yeah. I'm
And
sure
thank you.
there's
All
writers out
all your
there.
buddies
Yeah.
are showing up tonight. That's great. Thank you everybody in the
Yeah.
chat.
What's going on, guys? What's up?
Yeah.
Yeah, so once he said that, and I was just like, yeah, I was all aboard. I was like, yeah, fuck mainstream. I'm not working on anything unless I own it. You know.
Yeah. It's a shame because I'm assuming that you were a lifelong comic book kid. I wanted to grow up and I wanted to write the Fantastic Four. Now, I really don't. I really don't. I'm not interested anymore.
Oh man, I mean, growing up, I grew up with comic books. Like I grew up with Marvel comic books in my back pocket. I had an older uncle just like a few years older than me, and he had a bunch of comic books, so I was constantly reading them. And then once I realized that like somebody was drawing these and that was a
Yeah,
job,
yeah,
that was all I fucking like thought about.
yeah.
Right? Was like that was it. So and that was all I did was draw. Like my mom is a really good illustrator,
Oh, cool.
and my dad's just like a fucking firefighter, fire chief. You know what I mean? He's just like
A regular guy.
a mustache, fucking Don Fry looking motherfucker, right? So yeah, so that's all I want to do was draw comic books, and
Now,
I
did your
went
dad
to a,
did he like or not like or have no problem with you reading comics? I know in my generation a lot of parents were like,
no, he
"This
was
is not-"
he was cool because it was reading. You know what I mean? It was reading. It wasn't sitting in front of the TV. I mean, my dad, like, he was cool with the comic books, but he was a real pusher of like old softbacks,
Okay.
like novels. You know what I mean? So he
Yeah,
was like he
the paperbacks,
yeah,
pocketbooks.
that's what the word is, paperback. So he was like, yeah, X-Men, that's pretty cool, but have you ever heard of Doc Savage? Here's
Oh, cool. See,
read
all
some
right.
of this. Right? So like, he also had some of that like Louis Latour, the fucking Western. There was some like Western stuff, but it
Oh,
was a lot of like
Lassiter, Louis Lassiter or something like I know
yeah,
what you're
yeah.
talking about. Yeah.
There was some of that, but it was mostly
Like
like Doc
he read like
Savage.
Tough Guy Men stuff.
Yeah. It was Tough Guy Men stuff. And
Yeah.
then a lot of like Conan stuff, like Conan the Destroyer, but it was
Oh,
all
here we go.
like
Louis L'Amour. I couldn't think of the name. Louis Lassiter. That was Mary Hartman. Mary Hartman.
Louis L'Amour.
I had
So
Chuck
that's the
Dixon
kind of
on a
stuff.
couple weeks ago, and he called this whole
Love
genre
him.
like men's sweat magazines and men's sweat. He says it was like the macho male equivalent of women with the romance novels.
Yeah.
And I can't really argue with that. It was
No,
lowbrow.
because there's
fun,
like you read Doc Savage and like there's Fortress of Solitude. There's
Yep.
like a bunch of shit in there that you're like. I was like reading Doc Savage, and then I turn around and be like, "What the fuck? It's in the new Superman." Like that's
Yep.
like
Yep.
swiping motherfuckers.
Yep.
So yeah, so I did that, and then I did like all kinds of art classes. I did Art Student League in New York City.
Where do you live now?
I live in Georgia now.
Oh,
I live
okay.
in Georgia now. So I had an uncle who lived in Manhattan. And he lived in like Hoboken for like a couple of years, and that fucking sucked. That sucked to visit him when he lived in Hoboken. But most of the time he was in.
It's a nice place to visit, but there's no way I would want to live there, man.
Dude,
You can't park anywhere near there.
I mean, I didn't have a car. I was like a grimy ass skateboard teenager, but
I probably
I
ran
wasn't a
into
big
punk
fan
clubs.
because like the city was like right there, and I had a bunch of friends that were like living in the city, so like to go hang out with them, I'd have to take.
Just
take
out
the
of
fucking
curiosity,
train.
what years were these?
90s, like 90, 91 to 94 is when
Oh
I
my
was like
God,
just
I-
visiting.
I was probably bumping into you at CBGB's.
Yeah, dude, literally bumping into each
Yeah,
other.
I couldn't ride
Dude,
a
the
skateboard
toilet
because I'm
there is
coordinated,
insane. Do you
but I
remember
was-
that shit?
What's that?
The toilet downstairs was like you just go down there to look at it. You're like, are you gonna use that toilet? Like, fuck no. I just want to see it. It's so
Yeah.
fucking gross.
When
So
when
then
they
I- and
closed
then
down,
after
they
that-
actually took the walls down because they considered it art and they sold it off.
Oh
You
my
know,
god.
Whatever
they call art is art, I guess. Somebody
I mean,
pays
those,
for
those
it.
walls had like Deborah Harry signatures and David Byrne.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it really, I think it is part of American history. Lou Reed, the Ramones.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a shame. It's a shame it
well,
closed
they
down.
gentrified the area. They raised the rent to $40,000 a month. You know, what can you do now? It's like a hoity-toity restaurant.
Yeah, when I first moved to New York, it was still kind of shady. You know what I mean? Like Giuliani quite hadn't gotten a hold of shit. Like Union Square was still like all fucked up. There wasn't like a Barnes and Noble there and
Yeah,
a fucking tower. You know what I'm saying? It was like,
it was scary. Yeah.
it was awesome,
We went to
dude.
like I didn't tell my parents. I just hopped on the train. You know, I was at what they called the T&A punks, the tunnels and bridge punks. You know?
Yeah, dude.
And-
Bridge
and
and
I-
tunnel, bridge and tunnel, bridge and tunnel.
And I would go down there, and me and my friends would go ahead, shave our heads. I had my leather jacket, my Converse
Oh
All
my
Stars.
God,
My tiny tight little.
You were
cuffs on my
so
jeans.
noticed, dude. Did you ever go to the tunnel? Did you ever go to that club, the tunnel?
Yeah, I've been to the tunnel. I've been to all.
Did you
Yep.
like? You used to be able to
Okay,
get
I'm
in
going to
there.
ask you something. This is going to.
You used to be able to go into the tunnel for free on Friday nights if you had a skateboard because they had that
Oh,
half pipe in the
then
back.
I always paid because I couldn't ride a skateboard to save my
Yeah,
life.
dude, we fucking go in there and like skate the fucking half pipe for like a half an hour, and then go and like just get fucked up and like party the rest of the night there.
Okay, I'm gonna. If you know about this, my mind is gonna explode. Did you ever go to King Tut's Wawa Hut?
Nah, I wish I knew what that
It
was.
was
That
right by
doesn't sound
Washington
familiar.
Square. No, it was right by Thompson Square Park, and it was literally a guy's apartment that he left the doors open, and he just wrote King Tut's Wawa Hut, and people would just walk in, and he would serve beers and charge people, and that's how he paid his rent. So you would just go to a guy's apartment that he pretended was a bar, and the
Yeah,
city closed him down after a while, but he was
I'm
open.
sure.
It was, that's the way the city was at the time. Just walking into a guy's, you're sitting on his couch watching his TV, drinking beers.
And you just like walk in, you're like, "Hey, what's up, man?" He's like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
but
hey,
that's
what do you
that's
need?"
how he paid his rent by
That's wild.
by selling beers. It was funny.
Yeah, that's hilarious. So, and I went to SVA. I went to a pretty good school. I had some really good teachers. I had Gene Colan. I had Joe
Wow,
Orlando, Klaus Jansen.
wow, you did have good teachers. You had legends.
Dude, yeah, dude. So I was like listening to these guys. Man, they're so fucking blue collar, like just so fucking just like because people would come in and like this was like Dragon Ball Z was just starting to like pop off, and people would come in with some Dragon Ball Z shit, and he would and like Joe Orlando was like, what is this shit? Like, what the fuck is this? Like, I'm asking you to draw stuff. What is it? He's like, oh, it's Dragon Ball Z. I just remember like a couple of kids like kind of arguing about drawing in this like manga style, and like the Joe just like wasn't like registering it. You know what I'm saying? He just like wasn't grasping it. He was like,
I like what
you're
you
not.
said.
He was just like, you're not going to get a job at Marvel drawing like this. Like, you're not going to be working at DC. Like, that doesn't seem
I
very
like what you said. These were
house
blue collar
style.
guys. These were guys who had families and houses. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
real jobs. These weren't like as our boy Zach would say, childless weirdos.
No. These guys were like fucking like former military dudes too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know what Gene did because we never asked him. But so we're going to class. The first day of class, I go into the elevator to go up to the class, and this little guy with one of those like Navy hats with the brim that has like the rope right there.
Okay.
It's got some shit embroidered on the front. He's wearing like a members only jacket, and he's got these thick ass fucking glasses, and he kind of looks like the guy from Up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, with the
Yeah.
fucking balloons, right? And I'm
Yeah.
just like, oh yeah, hey, how are you? Right? Always polite, always polite. You don't know who's who.
Yeah. Especially in school. Yeah.
Especially in school, you know what I mean? Maybe he was a janitor. I don't give a, you know what I mean? Just like, hey, how are you? Hey, hello, right? And so then we like go off on the same floor, and he walks into the class that I'm going into, and it was like, oh shit, that's Gene Colan. This is fucking Dracula. This is Tomb of Dracula, fucking Gene Colan. But like his eyes were like all fucked up with cataracts at the time.
Yeah, well, he's been probably working this close to a piece of paper for 40 years at that point.
Yeah, his eyes were like kind of fucked up. So he was like, hey, it's like, I'm not really going to be doing portfolio reviews and stuff, but I'm just going to draw, and you can come up to the front table, the front desk that was in the class. And so we would all just like walk up there, and he would kind of tell stories, not like dirty laundry stories, but just like, in the industry, they do this. You know what I mean? Just kind of like talking while he was drawing on this giant pad of newsprint.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like a giant newsprint pad, and he had a Sharpie marker, and he was all fucking close as fuck with it, like Jason. And he was drawing like horses and a stagecoach, right? Like the first day. That's what he was doing, just like fucking whipping out like this amazing thing with a Sharpie marker. I mean, it was like that Korean guy almost, I don't want to say his name because I don't want to butcher it, but you know what I'm talking about. The really good Asian guy that was around. He's not around anymore, but
That
It
is
was like that. He was just drawing, and then the next day he came in and he was like, okay, come around, and like he drew like Daredevil, and then it was amazing stuff. But yeah, that was like the people that I had. So I was totally expecting and ready to be in the bullpen. Like I was like expecting and ready to like be working in the bullpen, and Stan Lee like fucking come up and just like quiz me,
yeah.
you know? And
The
yeah, it
bull,
never happened.
yeah, the bullpen didn't exist. The bullpen only, it was like during Atlas Comics in the 50s, but it was something that Stan Lee kept. Like I
Yeah.
thought that if I walked into Marvel offices, there was going to be rows of artists, there was going to be music
Nah,
playing and
man.
paper airplanes
No.
going around, and like,
No, because I got to go in. Because like during that time, like I was working at a skate shop, I was working at a couple of other places. You know what I mean? You know how it is in the city.
yeah, you got to
You
do
know,
what you
as
got
a
to do.
fucking punk ass kid, you know, you're just working in different places, but like you're always the eyes are open. And I saw somebody with like an X-Men lapel button, you know, like a little button on their lapel,
Yeah,
and I was just like, oh hey, like you work for Marvel? And he was like, yeah, and I was working at a skate shop at the time, and it ended up being like the assistant editor for the X-Men at the time. This guy named Jason Liebig,
okay,
and I was like, oh yeah, I go to SVA. But as soon as I realized that he was like editorial, I started fucking like schmoozing. You
yeah,
know what I mean? And
you got to.
just to get a yeah, dude. Because holy
You got to.
fuck, are you kidding me?
No, nobody. Well, I was gonna say nobody's gonna jump in and recruit you, but that's what they do
Fuck
today.
no. Yeah, that's what they do today, I guess. If you're like in a wheelchair and
If
you're an
if
ex fucking sex
if you
worker
hit
and
if you
you
hit the
can't read.
checklist,
Yeah, yeah. How many
hate
boxes on the checklist?
hate to tell you, you don't hit the checklist.
None, dude. I don't think I check off any of the boxes required to be fucking woke
Yeah,
employee. So he was like, "Oh yeah, cool." And so you know, after I badgered him a little bit, you know, and finally got up to Marvel, and he like brought me up, and that was when I got to see like the Marvel offices for the first time, and that was pretty. But it just it was just like boxes of shit stacked up. Like
yeah,
there was kind of like a bullpen area where there was people doing like corrections and shit like that,
yeah.
you know, on the artwork, but there wasn't any like, hey, I'm over here fucking whipping out some
Yeah,
pages. Here
I
you go,
smoking a
read things
cigar,
for me.
drawing with one hand.
Yeah, yeah, there wasn't any of that. It was all just
Yeah, when
like,
I was there, it was the most depressing thing. There was
yeah.
too many people crammed into an area that the carpet smelled like your dirty, musty basement. There'd be
Yeah.
overhead light fixtures with like two lights flickering and one light not flickering.
Yeah. It looked very like hodgepodge. There was just like shit stacked up everywhere.
Just disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, and then what the cool thing was Jason went to go work at DC Comics, and he was like, "Hey man, I'm over at DC. You should come up." And so I got to go to the DC Comics offices
And
around
that's
that
beautiful.
time. Dude, it was so fucking dope looking.
Yeah,
Like it looked like Metropolis,
yeah.
right? The main lobby looked like Metropolis with
It
Superman.
has Superman sitting in the lobby.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then you go through the two doors, right? You go through the two doors, and it looked like the fucking rooftops of Gotham.
yeah.
And all the like, hey man, you want a coffee or a juice or whatever? You want a Snapple? That was in like the behind a water tower, right? There was like this like fucking cool like faux water tower that was there that was like
Yeah,
part of
I went there and asked for a tour, and they were like, "It's for children." I was an adult at the time,
like
so I was just like, I pulled out my ID and everything. I was like, "I'm the electrician for the
yeah.
building," and they're like, "Yeah, come on in."
Yeah, but then once you got into like the more editorial stuff, then like shit started like stacking up. There was like
Yeah,
boxes of like stuff, which was always dope because he'd look at my stuff because it was like I was good, but I wasn't quite there. You know what I mean? Like I was at like 90%. You know what I
okay.
mean? And I needed, so they were definitely like cool with me and like hey, I've got some new pages. Cool. And it was always I felt welcome, when I had new stuff and when I called them. But
And you ever get published by Marvel or DC?
no, I didn't. No,
That's a
no,
shame.
I didn't because it was just like a constantly. Oh shit! Somebody sounds pissed. So did you hear that? Did you hear that
Yeah,
person screaming?
the
So
kids.
like, I mean, I kept like knocking and knocking and knocking, and it was like, yeah, and then Jason wasn't working there, and then my uncle started dating one of the editors at Marvel, and that was interesting. So I got to go meet that guy, and he was like editing like Daredevil or something at the time. So I went in and like showed him my portfolio, and he like had some good stuff to say. But then he like started asking about my fucking uncle and shit. It was just fucking weird.
Oh,
And
he's trying to get some dirt from you.
well, it was just like, hey, where's how was his weekend? What did he do? And I was just like,
What's this
and
have
I
to
know
do?
that he wasn't with him.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And so it's like,
what does this have to do with the Black Widow?
yeah, dude. I'm like, what the fuck does this? That's what's going in my head. I'm going, you were just talking about perspective, bro. Like, I don't give a fuck
that's
if
awkward.
you're blowing my fucking uncle, dude. Like, yo, you're a fucking. Just be like, you're a trick, okay? He heard you were fucking working at Marvel, and he flashed his fucking ass at you. And now I'm sitting here, and it sucks for both of us. So let's just fucking get through with this. You know what I mean? That was like.
So when they broke up, you didn't want to hire you.
I don't know what the fuck the deal was. I was just like, yeah, I don't know what's going on with him this weekend. You know, I totally like played it off, you know. But he was like, yeah, he's like, you got pretty good stuff. Like, keep drawing. Like that was like one of the things. Like, keep drawing. Cool, and I did, you know. But so like as I was like knocking on the door for Marvel and DC and just like trying to fucking like work on pages and shit, I started working in kitchens. You know what I mean? I started working as a prep chef at the Russian tea room.
Oh, cool!
And like I was like a back waiter. You know what I mean? I was just like running food, and so I was in the kitchen a lot. And they were like, "Yeah, you're gonna be a front waiter," because I was all down with just like fucking acting the fucking part when you're around like the table.
That's hoity-toity. So you got
Hello, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, fantastic, sir. Yes, sir. Is there anything I can do with you? Excellent, sir. Fantastic. Like I was able to like kind of schmooze and bullshit.
But when did you grow up?
Newport News, Virginia.
Okay.
But I spent like summers in the city.
Okay.
Because I had family. There. So yeah, I would go to school, and then either in the summer I would do like Boy Scout camps or just spend the rest of the summer with my uncle in Manhattan hanging out there. So yeah, I just knew shit once I moved there after high school. So I was like working that, and then I had like drawn something. I like made fun of somebody. Right, like at the restaurant, you know, I was like doing. So I was working. First, I was like just like a prep chef, and then I moved up to Garde Manger because I was like, it sounded like it was like, fuck, this is fun, right? Like the camaraderie, like you could like yell at each other and everything.
Working in restaurants was fun. Yeah,
dude, restaurants are so fucking awesome, right?
You know,
and I was enjoying the craft of it. You know what I mean? I was enjoying like the presentation and stuff like that. And I was like, well, maybe this is kind of fucking cool. Like maybe I could fucking rock this for a while. So I was, holy shit, somebody sounds pissed. So so I became like a Garde Manger chef. And then I was like kind of understudying for some of the other positions. I was like kind of jamming on it. And then I drew a picture of somebody and I was like kind of making fun of him. And he like remembered that and was like, oh man, like you drew me. That's fucked up. But also funny. And then he went off and like started working at ABC for Monday Night Football. And in a meeting, right, they were like, yeah, we need an artist to like draw some stuff. See, I think that's a smile. I think she's actually joking around. I don't think that's like an upset scream. I think that's her being silly.
Yeah, bring her on.
So he like remembered me and like contacted me, and so it went from like, yeah, I'm in restaurants, and I'm like wondering like when I'm gonna get a break into comics to like doing storyboards and doing production work and TV and like, but like. I don't know, man. I love comic books. That's all I want to really do.
Yeah.
And I'm having a jam. Like that's when I feel like myself, like when I'm really feeling like good.
You gave up on comics for a while, like we all did. Like around 2015, I was just like, I'm done with comics. I cold turkey. I stopped Marvel. I stopped DC. You know, and I challenge myself every month. I get less and less new comics, but I've been buying back issues, and then I discovered through Zach like all this Comicsgate stuff and
Yeah.
crowdfunding stuff. So I actually like my enthusiasm took like a big nosedive and then skyrocketed again.
Yes.
And then I was like, I want to talk about comics, and it was
Yeah.
so I went online and started talking to me. Now I'm talking to you. I'm talking to Ethan Van Sciver. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
much fun.
I love going to the local comic book shop and just like chatting, and just rapping about comic books. That's
It's
the
when
best.
there's two old timers that like, hey, how you doing? Everything? Oh, it stinks. I just want to close up and get out of here, go to Florida. I'm like, oh well,
Fuck.
it's like the most miserable, but
we got a good one here in Athens. We got a good comic book shop. They're fairly talkative.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, dude. I once I heard Zach, I like kind of found out about Comicsgate and kind of like started watching some videos, started watching Ethan, and then just kind of like jumped in, jumped in feet first because that excitement that I was feeling. And I still feel that excitement. I just totally jumped in.
I'm getting more
grabbing on.
every day.
I mean, even now it's like, you want a logo? Totally, dude. You want a fucking cover? Let's do it. Like whatever you fucking like. I'm totally down with.
Oh, you do logos?
Yeah, I've done a bunch of logos.
Cool.
I did like the Frog G logo. I did a logo for Ethan. I did the Goblin Girl logo. I've done at least like 8 or 9 logos.
Oh, cool.
At least 8 or 9 logos. At least the same number of trading cards, maybe more. I think maybe like 12 or 13 trading cards, I think so far. Maybe 8 or 9 covers.
Cool.
So a couple books. So I did like the Rambo.
So I just have to laugh. Like, the mainstream is busting chops at all the Comicsgate. I mean, they're busting chops at all the Comicsgate guys, but Marvel guys aren't paying you. You know what I mean? Like, look at all the work you get.
Well, I know it's indie, right? And I know these guys are like trying to put shit together. So I'm not charging them like ESPN numbers. You know what I mean? Like I'm charging. Honestly, dude, I'm just like, yo, pay me whatever you want. I mean, I'm here to help, not fucking fleece.
Well, that's a good attitude.
You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate it.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's like it's grab and ore. It's not. Let me fucking start milking my fellow.
You remember like Discord Records and the DIY attitude, do it yourself,
Yeah.
All the shows were $5.
But there's also because of Comicsgate, there's also some sweet cross pollination. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, maybe you're really good at the interiors, but you're not so hot with the logo. Like I'll fucking help you up. Pedro is fucking awesome with animation. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm not good with editing, but I know several people in Comicsgate who will edit the shit for me.
Yeah.
So
that story you told me showed me that you were good at networking, and this, why not? That's what
dude
it is,
Yeah,
everybody helping each other out. I got to say it's been, this corner of the internet's been nothing but a pleasure. Nothing but nice. Anybody who's having a hard time on Twitter or whatever, I think you're doing it to yourself,
Yeah. Sometimes I rock and roll and rumble on Twitter, but I choose to, and that's like where I get I don't play video games. I don't play Grand Theft Auto. You know what I mean? So I just fucking
I
just rock and roll sometimes. You know what I mean? And it feels righteous when it's like, oh, you're gonna talk shit about Comicsgate? Let me fucking dunk on you.
I used to fight with people on Facebook and everything, and I'm still right. I still maintain that I was correct, but it's hard to see those people at Thanksgiving dinner again. Oh, he's got to yell at the kids. What do we got here? Does Matt have a solo project brewing? Matt, do you have a solo project?
Do I? Yeah, I do. Little buddy, it's all good. I do. I do have a project coming. I got a couple of projects coming. One's called Mandibles. Another one, I don't really have names for them yet.
Okay, what's Mandibles? That sounds cool. What's that?
It's like a love story in a monster
That's the
suit.
last thing I expected you to say.
It's a love story in a monster suit. It's
Mandibles. It's a romantic, heartwarming tale about a boy and his
It's a
monster.
heartwarming tale about it's very body horror, but it's also romantic. I will come get that dead beetle when I'm finished here. If you give me a few more minutes, I'll get that beetle. Don't worry about it. Yes, it's like written out, so I'm just kind of working it out. But it's poor little person. That's sad. But it's yeah, it's a love letter. It's a guy who is, I don't want to spoil it. But it's good. It's monster stuff. You know what I mean? It's like if you like
young monsters in love.
No, not even. It's people in love, but it's got some of that body horror. It's got like some of that, like The Fly, where there's like some transforming. You
got a campaign for this or anything?
Not yet. I'm still working on the outline. I'm still working on, because I had the outline and I've shown it to a couple of people, and I got back some really good feedback that I'm like incorporating into it. You know what I mean? Like, because as an illustrator, like I want to get from like, okay, she's in the fucking armored limo to the giant monster is eating people. So like I might get a little bit lazy in that middle branching. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or not lazy, but I'm just like, she jumps out and then runs, and then the monster comes. Well, you know what I mean?
It's still percolating.
Like, yeah. Well, I mean, I got it, but it's like, because I saw, I think it was like Todd McFarlane, who was like, yeah, so I write a comic book. I just write all 20 pages out, like, and that's kind of what I did. So I have the full story. But there's just a couple of parts where it's like, hey, instead of the guy and the girl just kind of getting along for the story to get along, like maybe they argue a little bit. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Like maybe not everybody. Say what?
You're getting an outline together.
Yeah. And then
you got a skeleton, and you'll put some meat in.
Because I really want the outline. Like the outline has to make sense. Right. You know what I mean? And like it's gonna be 80 pages. Cool. It's gonna be a solid single story.
I'm kind of intrigued.
Yeah, man. It's like how much of your humanity would you give up to save somebody that you love? Like this guy has a condition has happened. Say what?
My wife, as I said that. I said, does she make good lasagna? And I'm looking at my wife.
She does make excellent lasagna. So it's like it's not damsel in distress.
Then.
Because that was like maybe the original was like my wife, like, man, I'll fucking do anything for my wife. Like I'll turn into a monster and I'll eat everybody in this room for my fucking wife. And like, oh, that's kind of funny. And then like, oh, I could draw monsters. That would be kind of cool. And then just kind of expanding and like maturing that, like that beyond that. But yeah, so the guy, something happens, and every step of his path, to complete the objective, he's forced to kind of like lose his humanity and becomes like more of this like monster. So, and I'm doing some different storytelling pacing and so, it won't be linear, if that makes sense. Like the comic book will start with this giant fucking worm, spider, centipede monster like going through this lab and like eating security guards, and these security guards are like trying to fight off this monster, and then the alarm kind of syncs up with like the alarm clock to this guy, and then you find out that this guy is the monster, or like he eventually becomes the monster.
And then we go to a backflash and
yeah, so we kind of do a little bit of Tarantino kind of a fucking switcheroo. So that way, like,
that sounds good.
A lot of the story doesn't really like make it happen. I want the story to just start off with people getting eaten by monsters.
You gotta start with action. Hook us in.
I want to hook you in.
Grab me by the mandibles.
Yeah, exactly. And then I want to be like, hey man, I love my wife. You know what I mean? And like Gaga goo goo
Mandibles, a
goo. Yeah,
love story. I don't know. This sounds
exactly.
good. This sounds funny.
Good, good. Yeah, so that'll be mine. That'll be my thing.
That's cool. That's cool. That sounds awesome. Yeah, can't wait. You gonna crowdfund this?
Yeah, yeah, but I want to make sure that there's
Yeah, you got to be
a
ready.
fair enough chunk of it is finished by the when I actually crowdfund it.
You're
Because I
writing it and drawing it.
yeah,
Cool,
yeah,
cool. I
yeah.
love that.
I think
I think the best comics are comics made by one person's creative vision.
I mean fucking
But
I'm no
unfortunately, I can't
fucking
draw.
Kenneth Rocafort. I mean, I would love to get Jimmy to like ink it. I would love to get Jimmy Ray's to ink it, or something like that, because I do kind of like the team effort of it. You know what I
And
mean? I kind of
and
like the idea of and
and
also
we got some
speeding it up,
talented people in this group.
dude.
You know what I mean? Like
Why wouldn't I dip into Comicsgate and
right,
fucking
right.
and like get
Why
some of this
not?
talent?
Look at the talent pool. It's awesome.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that Marvel, they don't want to hire him or whatever. They probably can't afford him, to be realistic. They told Walt Simonson that nobody wants his art anymore. Walt Simonson.
What? Who told him that?
He tweeted that on Twitter. He said that
I mean,
he
I
told Marvel that he was
believe him, but
available.
I just want to be like, who
Yeah,
told
that
you
guy
that?
should
I
be
want to
fired.
know that person's name and just
Yeah.
be like, just shame that person.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Who said that to Walt Simonson? And where can I start throwing the tomatoes?
Oh my
Yeah.
god! Look at him! Look at him starting shit with the PTP.
People
PTP.
like the drama. People like the drama.
They
What can I
love
say?
it.
What can I say? So how
Yeah, I
how's
don't
it
want to
been-
say anything because you're gonna have PTP on here, so let's just keep that.
yeah.
Let's just
I,
keep
I,
that moving.
I'm what's the word? Polyand poly what's the
Neutral?
word? Just who I'm
You're
trying
like
to
you're
think
like
of
Sweden.
who?
You're like, or is it Sweden or Switzerland? Who
Oh
is
yeah, I'm
neutral?
neutral. I'm neutral. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm Pollyanna. Everything's good in roses.
Yeah, it
Pollyanna.
is.
What was I going to say? So how's it like working with Richard T. Meyer? I wrote letters to him. I asked him to come on the show, and he wrote me a nice letter saying why he doesn't want to do it. So I respect his reasons. But man, I feel like he is like the godfather of Comicsgate. You know what I mean? Like the Ramones are the godfather of punk.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I would like to talk.
But he
to him.
doesn't. He's not officially CG. He doesn't say
Right.
he's officially CG, but it's just like, well, he's a fucking pioneer. You know what I mean? He like
He's
came
an
in.
individual thinker. He
Came
has a
in and
unique
like
spin
made
on
the space,
everything.
and then
And even when I disagree with him, I'm like, okay, I can understand. Like he explains and he's very fair. Like he'll say things about people that I don't like, and I'm like, you should hate him, And then I'm like, yeah, but he's got a good reasoning the way he thinks. I even when I disagree with him, I respect what he has to say.
yeah.
And people. I forget who it was, but the day after I had Ethan on, I was just getting swarmed with. So you're CG, you Comicsgate. I was like, I never said I wasn't. I didn't think I was big enough or important enough to take a stand. I was just but like, how can you not be? I don't like Marvel. I don't like DC. I don't like what they actively don't want me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like.
Yeah, you get the editors pumping out stuff like, "Hey, we're looking for new artists. We're looking for Latino minority artists to work on this books." It's like, okay, guess you don't want me. That's fine.
Yeah.
But it is.
It's
a shame.
I just have to laugh. And we want diversity, and then you look at every Marvel comic, and it's the same.
But I'm also cool with it though. Like now that I don't have that youthful
come on over, Marcus. We'll play some board games.
That youthful
thank you, Darren.
Ignorance, that naivete of like being, I want to work at Marvel and I want to work long fucking hours on Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Like I'll fucking do anything to draw Batman. And then you realize like it's just a job and like you don't get anything out of it. And like if you're lucky, you'll end up in fucking Artist Alley, with a little fucking table.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I always
why would I draw and work on something that like I don't own? You
I wouldn't
know,
work long hours on Spider-Man if I was in my 20s and I was getting something out of it. You know what I mean? Like I work long hours right now at my job. I don't, I'm a construction worker. I don't own these buildings, but I get something out of it. I got a retirement package. I got, you know what I mean?
yeah.
But,
Well, see,
but,
I don't think comic book artists have
right,
retirement packages and stuff, and like some
right.
of the
That's what I'm saying.
benefits.
Yeah, I got no problems with working long hours. You know?
Dude,
Yeah,
comic books are long hours.
yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
but,
you're away from your family. You're
yeah,
sitting here, not to be like, oh, woe is me, the comic book artist.
yeah.
Dude,
Well,
it's
tell
like
me,
long hours alone of just like fucking sitting here and like
I
drawing
was
and like,
outside all day today in the 100-degree sun carrying steel pipes.
oh shit.
That, and then I got the early train, and there was a fire at the train station, so we had to sit in the train for an hour. I was ready, so like I get on with you, and I was all ready to start arguing with you, and I'm like, oh, why am
Are
I
you
taking
ready to
on all
argue?
that?
You want to argue with me?
No, you know what I mean. You just get into that mood where you're just ready to argue, and then I'm like, yeah, Matt's a cool guy.
Okay.
He can start the fire at the train station.
Okay. I mean, I was just like, oh yeah, what do you want to argue about? Like we could like, yeah. You want to argue for something or against something? What do you want
No,
to argue
man.
about?
Once you were telling me you were a New York skate punk in the '90s, I was like, me and you were probably jumping off the stage together.
Yeah, dude, that movie Friends, I'm just like, that's fucking summertime right there.
Yeah.
Watching that fucking movie. Yeah, I
Oh,
loved the city as a kid. It was like it was a jungle. It was wild. Like I'd spend, a month with the Boy Scouts in the woods, and then spend, a month in the city. It was almost kind of the same thing. It was like, okay, where's fresh water? Where's a fresh place that you could like go to the bathroom and not be,
was a safe
harassed or
place to sleep.
yeah, yeah. But like my uncle was like pretty awesome in that he like quizzed me on like avenues and streets and stuff like that. Like I wasn't really allowed to like leave the neighborhood, for a couple of summers.
Yeah, had to get a little get your bearings straight.
Yeah, exactly.
I could go anywhere around Manhattan till this day, but you put me in the East Village. You know what they say in the woods when
It
when
gets
you're
all
running,
wonky because it's like
I
some
end
of
up
the
in
earlier
circles.
city, yeah, where
Me
it's
and my
like there's
wife were
shit's
looking for
going
a restaurant.
diagonal.
I was like, oh, we're gonna go to this restaurant. We walked. It must have been 100 degrees, and we walked around, and we kept ending up in front of the same Five Guys. And I'm like, how is this possible? Like we were getting angry, we were yelling at each other. So forget it. We went all the way to the city to eat at Five Guys because we couldn't find this freaking.
What the fuck? It's not. Do you remember Chumley's?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was a dope spot. Like that was a place my uncle used to take me. I used to totally take chicks there to fucking impress them. Be like, yeah, we're gonna go to this fucking restaurant, this like pub, and just I guess telling you for the viewers, but it was like you'd like go through a back door, through a courtyard to get into this like
If you didn't know it
old
was there,
bar.
you'd never find it.
Yeah, like a former speakeasy that they
Yeah,
kept fucking
it's funny
super
that you said that
DL.
because we were talking about restaurants that we love that are no longer around. Did you ever hear of Dirty Mike's?
No.
there was a deli called. It was right by the trade center. So all the construction workers work there, and you walk into a deli. It was called Cordello's. The deli's still there, and you get a little old lady like, let me get a half pound of macaroni salad, and like you'd be like, we're going to Dirty Mike's, and people would be like, where are you taking me? This is just a deli, and there was a big black metal door, and as soon as you opened it, it was like boom, 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 and you walked in there, and I can't even explain, but it was naked girls,
What?
interestingness, people doing drugs on the bars. I'm talking. This was like
Oh
the
shit!
late '90s.
It's that kind of
like,
party.
oh my god! Like as I can't even begin to describe the filth that went on at Dirty Mike's, and then it was like you tell other people about it. And then next thing you know, you go in there and you go through this deli, and people all the same thing. Where you take this you go on a elaborate trick. This is an elaborate trick, and then you open the door. I took one guy there, one of my partners. I was like, we're gonna go to Dirty Mike's. And I didn't see him for a week and a half. he didn't come. He hooked up with one of the girls there, and these were all the owner was Colombian. All these girls were these beautiful Colombian. Every girl looked like Shakira. I had a project manager that like, we were working, and he was on my back all the time. And he heard me talking to another guy about Dirty Mike's, and he whispers, "Where is this place?" So I gave him directions. We never saw him again. Everybody was like, "Yeah, John got rid of this guy." So
What, he just like, so he just got hooked up with somebody?
I think so. I don't know. I'm afraid to ask. I don't know what happened. What happens at 30 Mike's stays at 30 Mike's.
I don't know. It sounds like a fucking
It was a legendary
Dust
place.
Till Dawn. Like every third person they like kill and fucking drain of blood.
It's like till dusk till dawn. Ask any construction worker in the 90s to like 2010 about 30, and they're gonna go.
That's hilarious, dude. How do you know about Dirty Mike? That's funny. I've never heard of that.
And that was Manhattan. Like there was a bunch of places that if you didn't know about, if you didn't have a cool friend, yeah, I got somebody Shanghai. This poor guy from Tennessee. he's a slave in Vietnam or something like that right now.
Yeah, dude. Woke up with one kidney.
But Manhattan's not fun anymore. I gotta go this Saturday to the city, and I'm not looking forward to it. It just seems like it lost its edge.
Yeah.
Maybe I aged out. I don't know, but what.
The last time I went there, it felt really, really tight. Like I mean, I'm used to like these Georgia mountains. You know what I mean? I'm used to like these like insane vistas, and then when I get out of subway, I felt like I could like touch both buildings. You know what I mean? Like I was like, fuck, it's tight here. I forgot how tight it is here. And then we went to Union Square, and I mean, it was just filled with people. And I remember it not being filled with people. I remember like there barely being anybody there, and it's just like, where the fuck did all these people come from?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I remember going. My sister's out by Pennsylvania, and I'm driving back, and I can't remember. We get on the BQE, so you get on the BQ, the Brooklyn Queens Expressway, and these apartment buildings come like right up to the side of the highway. And I'm like, this is like what's that? The movie Brazil by Terry Gilliam. This like I'm in. Like
I love that movie.
Yeah, I'm like I'm in a dystopian future right now. I'm like humans shouldn't be living here. And it's funny because right around that time Zach started talking about leaving New York. And Richard T. Meyer said he was leaving New York. And I'm like, I swear I think I'm on the same wavelength as this guy. There's definitely a zeitgeist that
that was another thing that him and I were clicking on was like New York stuff, like he was like calling out stuff and I was calling out stuff like that. We both like remembered going on in the city. Yeah, man. I do like the city. I do love it, but yeah, I don't know. It doesn't seem to be the same.
Things are different. I'm in my 50s, but when I was in my 20s and early 30s, partying was fun, going to the bars was fun, and now it's just like sitting in my basement reading some back issues. Last Saturday night, my wife and I got a pizza, and she sat over there and read, and I sat over here and read. It was the best Saturday night.
Yeah. Oh my God! It was buck wild, man. It was crazy. It was a crazy time. It's crazy time. Anything could happen.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun being a young construction worker. Agent Zero said, "I never thought the Bronx was so full of greenery. The Bronx is mostly a forest. If you ever go up to the Bronx, it is some of the most beautiful places you'll ever see because the Bronx is like continental United States. The rest of the boroughs are islands, and the Bronx is attached to the rest of the United States. So it's got that like shale rock outcroppings and like hills. They call it mountains, but let's be realistic, they're hills, and it's covered in forest. But at the same time, the Bronx has some of the worst slums. So the Bronx is the worst of New York City, and it's some of the most beautiful parts of New York City. Like I had a buddy that went to Manhattan College. We would go up into the Bronx, and we would be hanging out like in Bill Cosby's neighborhood, and that's like millionaires would live there. And then you go a couple blocks down that way, and it's like Fort Apache, the Bronx.
Yeah.
I think the Bronx is going to be the next cool place, like how Brooklyn blew up because Brooklyn's unaffordable now.
Yeah. I remember right when I was leaving, like Williamsburg was getting real big. That was getting real huge. People were like, "Yeah, we're going to party." I was like, "Where are you partying?" Williamsburg. I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
The fuck's in Williamsburg?
Well, they realized if you hop on the subway, it's just one stop away from Manhattan. But you don't realize you're crossing the river. but yeah, but Williamsburg is, you can't afford that now. You know, I can't afford that. You know,
No, I'm good.
but I think the Bronx is going to blow up next.
I was barely affording it then though, man. My rent was buck wild, and like I mean, I was eating spaghetti noodles and butter, you know,
That's
to
yeah,
live. You know, it's like,
yeah.
oh, do I go get a couple of pints of Guinness at Molly's Shebin pub, or you know what I mean? It was wild.
I mean, one thing I like, you know, because
That's why I started working at restaurants, because like I was like, man, I'm fucking hungry. And so he was like, well, get a job at a restaurant, and then you can like eat. And I was
yeah,
like,
take care of one of your expenses at least. Yeah,
yeah, dude. So yeah, dude, working at the Russian tea room, dude, they'd have food left over from the day before. So there'd be like chicken Kievs and
I
like,
never ate there. I couldn't afford that place.
pork loins, fucking frog raw, fucking laid out for us, dude. It was like,
I mean, you could tell people like every time you turn around, there's a restaurant you never discovered. You know, there's a record store
yeah,
that you never discovered. Do you ever go down to St. Mark's Place? Mark's
yes,
Pizza, you know,
yeah, yeah.
go down to Washington Square Park.
They had awesome. They used to have a really good comic book store on St. Mark's.
Oh yeah, St. Mark's Comics. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
I
don't know if
think
it's
that
still there.
I heard
Fucking weirdos, man. St. Mark's. Now that I think about it, is so fucking weird.
I wanted to live on St. Mark's
So
Place so
weird.
bad. That was such a great place to
I
be.
never felt like I was weird enough. You know what I mean? Like I
Oh,
was never quite like
you
punk
want to
rock
feel normal?
or dirty. Yeah, dude. I would be
You
like,
want to
yeah,
feel
like
normal? Go down to St. Mark's Place because they are guys that you're not even sure if they're human walking down that street.
yeah, dude. I was yeah.
Yeah, Forbidden Planet. Forbidden Planet is why can't I remember the name of the street that's on?
It's on Broadway.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's on Broadway. Yeah,
It's
Forbidden
on
Planet.
Broadway, like a couple blocks south of Union Square, near the AMC theater and shit.
Yeah,
Um, it used to be across the street from where it is now. Like it used to be across the street, and it was 2 floors.
yep.
And the first floor was like all the comic books and books and all that dope stuff. And then
And
the
the
bottom floor was like the toys.
toys and
And like
everything.
I just remember like as a little kid just like going down there and being like, holy shit. Because they had like Robotech. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? This was like New York, Manhattan.
Japanese
So
stuff
they
that
were
I didn't know about at the time. You know, in the
yeah,
90s,
dude. I was like,
Japanese
what the
stuff
fuck
wasn't as
is all this
popular.
stuff? You know? Yeah, just like getting like stuff that like you couldn't find in Virginia. You know what I mean? So I'd go up and like just get a bunch of cool stuff and then come back down and
Yeah,
like share. I remember getting like some Transformers and then them being like, man, you got like fucking fake Transformers. And it was like the Grimlock, right? So I had Grimlock and they were like, man, that's fucking bullshit. And I was like, what? And because like my packaging was all in Japanese.
oh, so you
And
got authentic stuff, and they thought
I
it
got
was,
authentic, right? Yeah.
and
And
they
like
thought
my
it was
Grimlock came
cool.
with like a little guy that went into his back and you closed a cockpit. And yeah, I was like, what the fuck? Like, nah, man, this is the shit. This is New York Transformers, man. You don't know. So yeah, dude, I love Forbidden Planet. That place was awesome.
Yeah, there was so many good places, so many good record
Love
stores.
SVA, dude. SVA was so dope, dude. SVA was like, man, just like the teachers were like working teachers. You know what I mean? Like you could go from your class to the comic book store and like see your teacher's stuff. You know, and I don't know. It was a really good time. I don't know what the school is like now, but
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know.
we had this chick named Shelly Roberg, and she was an editor for Vertigo, and she was doing a class, and she was bringing in like every week there'd be like a different fucking superstar, you know, and that was fucking rad.
That is cool. That is cool.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was just I feel super lucky because sometimes people are like, "Oh, fucking art school, like fuck art school, like I didn't learn shit," and I'm just like, man, I feel bad for you because like I learned a lot. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, that's
I
cool.
learned a lot like watching these dudes and listening to these guys and
And
plus, dude,
you got real advice from real working guys, not
yeah,
theoretical advice from professors who never did it. You know.
yeah. I'm not really keen on like professors, you know, who don't do. You know what I mean? Like like if the teacher's like, "Hey, I'm not going to be in next week because I have a deadline." Like I appreciate that a lot more than like I'm a professor and I've done one or two covers or
Look at
something. You
these
know.
names Marcus had. He had Eisner, Kurtzman, Gene Colan, Joe Lando. Look at
Ooh. I
this.
saw Iser. Iser came and like spoke one time, and I got to
Really?
go and see him. Yeah, dude. It
Man,
was like
he's
one of the last times he came to SVA.
how was he? Please don't tell me he was a jerk.
No, he's fucking amazing, dude. He was like an old man. We were in the
Now he's one of my.
amphitheater of the main building, and I was like fucking crammed up in the back.
That's
You
cool. You were a
know.
little punk kid, but then these Giants came in, and you were like,
Well, I
yeah,
respected like the masters. You know what I mean? And that's what I was like, man, these guys are fucking. These are like the
they were the men.
masters. You know?
Will Eisner is one of the people. I think he was like creating the he was creating like the language of comics. You know, I look at
Yeah.
Will Eisner. I think he was, as far as I know, and I could be wrong, like he was one of the first people I think to recognize it as an uplifting art form, and I think he was the first person to try to elevate the art form. You know,
Yeah, I
before
think
that,
what
I
was
think
this
people were just
first
like, "Oh man, I'm working in comics," but he could have done anything.
contract with God. You know, I think
Awesome
that
stuff.
might have been.
Yeah.
There's no superheroes in contract with God.
Right. Yeah.
That's a comic book. That's a graphic novel. That's
Yeah,
some
that's
deep
the first
shit.
graphic
That's
novel, I
fucking
think,
yeah. I mean,
and I
I'm
think
looking
he
over at
coined
his
the phrase.
books. He had a graphic novel, graphic storytelling, and visual narrative. Uh, yeah, I mean, it's like if he speaks, it's scripture to me,
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah, that's Moses. You know, Moses came in and talked.
dude. Yeah, dude, it was just like holy shit. Like
Yeah,
fuck yeah, I'm gonna be over there. So
well,
yeah,
Marcus said he was great with a lot of
that's who I
patience.
appreciate,
That's
man.
great.
That's who
That's
I
great.
appreciate a lot.
That is so.
And
That's so
Jack Davis,
uplifting.
I fucking love Jack Davis.
Oh
Holy shit,
man,
dude.
what a talent! What a rare talent that
I
man is.
like that, like that quick whippet of it. You know what I mean? It's I like that, like kind of like lean into the cartoony a little bit. I love it. Like a little bit of that Michael Golden.
And,
You
and,
know?
and what did DC do to Mad Magazine? They just like. I don't think you like the first casualty of progressivism is always comedy. I mean,
Yeah.
even before I got sick of Marvel and sick of DC, like Mad Magazine became like cringy. You know, you couldn't
Yeah.
read it.
I've
You know,
got some Mad magazines from the 70s,
and
and
they're
there's
awesome.
some bite to them, dude.
Yeah,
There's like some racial stereotypes, but it feels very equally fucked with.
yeah.
Like
They
everybody is kind of getting fucked
well,
with
that's
in
just
that.
it. Back in the 70s and 80s, everybody was busted. I don't care what anybody says. I lived through it. Up until like 2005. Racism was like dead. It was only like dinosaurs or weirdos. You know what I mean? And now
Yeah.
it's all people talk about. Like it's been given a revival. But back then, everybody was busting, and it was like you were busting on each other, real harsh
Yeah.
stuff. And you know, if you got upset, then you were the problem. You know?
Yeah, dude, that's what I gotta tell you. That's what I miss about the city. That's what I miss about sitting on a stoop with my fucking friends, talking shit. That's what I miss. Going down
It's
to the
funny.
Brooklyn banks and fucking skating at night and like
Yeah,
dodging rats and like just talking mad shit to each other.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Just like just
And
looking for buttons to
and
press on
the
each
first guy to
other.
throw the punch was the problem. You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, there was some fisticuffing, but yeah, it was like pretty rare. You know what I mean? It was like,
Just today, I met a laborer. So he's preparing the ground for concrete at the job I'm working on,
mhm.
and we just made eye contact, and it's sweat pouring down our face, and he just goes, "Man, my wife's gonna kill me today." That's how he said hello, and I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah,
why? What's wrong?" He goes, "I told her yesterday that I was going fishing with the guys after work, and she told me I couldn't, but I brought my clothes and I'm going fishing after work." And there was a pause, and I just go, "She's Hispanic, right?" And he just goes, "How'd you know?" I said, "Hispanic women want to fight." You know,
yeah, that's what I heard.
and we were
That's what I
shaking
heard.
hands. You know what I mean? Like you can't say
Mhm.
that to anybody outside of construction anymore. You know?
Yeah, yeah, dude, that was the wild thing in New York. It wasn't just like when somebody wouldn't just like fuck with you or call you white. It was like they'd have to like, what was your nationality? You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean?
When I was
Oh,
a
what
kid,
are
I was
you?
never
Oh, are
called
you a
white.
fucking German? Oh, you fucking kraut.
Right?
Go eat some fucking kraut. You fuck. You know what I mean? It was very
You
like
know, it was
you
always like,
Pole. You fucking Pole. You know what I mean? I mean, it was wild. Just like
I worked at a Toys R Us, and I was the only white kid at the Toys R Us, and it was just wannabe gangster kids, because it was Long Island. Let's be realistic.
Yeah.
They never called me Whitey or anything. They always called me like Mafia because I'm Italian, or Drunky because I'm Irish. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
nobody cared about white. It was all like,
no.
And
That's too easy. That's
it was
too
funny
easy.
my mother would drive one of the kids, Andrew, home with me because he lived around the block, and he was like busting on me. Yeah, you're white. Yeah. I was like, Andrew, do you want to ride for my mom tonight? Is she taking? And everybody was like, whoa. Don't act ghetto with me. You live around the block from me.
That's hilarious.
Darwin Cook was my favorite. Yeah, I love Darwin Cook.
Yeah,
too early. If he still worked, he's like Jimi Hendrix. I just imagine how the music that would have came out if that guy had lived. Yep. Look at that. Everybody's jealous. Yep. New York is Dave Edson. He's one of my. He lives out here. He's one of the people that I met out here. Dave's a great. Yeah. New York was fun. I definitely think if you're young, and New York is a great place to be. I'm talking about the city. You come to the city, it's an experience. You're never going to get it anywhere else. It's a unique place. But I think once you get into your 50s, unless you're a millionaire, it's like get out. I joke now that I'm in the country, and I love it. I'm dreading
dude. I love acreage.
Yeah,
love acreage.
Yeah, I got woods in my backyard, and I blast my music, and my neighbors don't hear it. It's awesome.
Yeah, I can go outside buck naked if I want to.
I could do that too, but my neighbors won't like it. But I can do it.
We keep it real.
Yeah,
we keep it real, dude.
All right,
it's just right, dude. There was so much competition in the city. You know what I mean? It's like,
that's what I wanted to ask you.
These fuck, bro.
Gene Colan and stuff like that. Now, when they I assume they critiqued your stuff. Were they merciless?
Yeah. Hardcore, bro.
You can't cry. You got to just stand there and say thank you.
Yeah, and you would get the critique from the teacher, and then sometimes you would get like classroom criticisms. You know what I mean? And so you kind of be watching. You'd like say, be honest, and if somebody started getting upset, like you were saying, like whoever got upset, that was the one who had a problem. So people would just like. You'd see people getting all kinds of poopy pants in class, getting their shit criticized.
I took writing classes in college, and we would critique each other's stories. And then they would come to me. I was in Albuquerque, I was in New Mexico, and everybody was like hippy dippy, and they're writing. And they would come to me, and I'd be like, "Well, I didn't like that story because this." You would just see people like tears start to well up in their eyes. I'm like, "I thought we were critiquing.
Yeah.
And they were like nice to my story. I'm like, don't be nice to my story. If it's not a good story, tell me. And even the teacher was like, well, yeah. I'm like, I'm not learning anything in this class.
Bro, I said that one time to a teacher, and I totally regret it. I totally fucking regret it. I had this teacher, and this was like first year drawing class, and so my girlfriend at the time, she had like the anatomy teacher as her first year drawing class teacher. I guess like the instructors, if they were doing something else, they would also do like first year stuff, foundation year stuff. And so her drawing teacher, like I said, was like the anatomy guy. So she was like doing all this like drawings of bones, and she was doing all this like really fucking cool shit. And I had a drawing teacher who was into like abstract fucking paintings. So, like one of the things that she had us do, like the model would come in, and like we would use pencils or whatever, but she had us get like a fucking plate and fill it with Indian ink, and get like a tennis ball and dip the tennis ball into the ink, and then like draw the form, like try to draw the gesture drawing of the. I mean. At the time, I was like, this is fucking stupid. I mean, I didn't say that out loud.
Yeah.
Right? But I was like, this is fucking stupid. I'm like, I need to figure out how to draw like superheroes. You know what I mean? I'm like,
this ain't going to get me hard drawing Spider-Man.
Yeah. I'm like, I wasn't seeing like the correlation of like, how is this going to help me like get on X-Men? You know what I mean? Like where is this going to get me on Moon Knight? What the fuck? I mean, now I think I'm like, oh yeah, that does kind of make sense, like a gesture drawing. But like at the time, I was like, this is dog shit, and like I told her that
Uh,
I was like, I'm not learning anything in this class. Like this isn't helping my drawing at all. And yeah, she got like poopy pants about it. I remember she like kind of huffed and puffed about it and didn't really say anything. But then like a year later, I saw her on the street and she like walked around me.
uh,
You know what I mean? Like we were both
well,
walking down the
to
street
be
on the
fair, you were
sidewalk.
walking around naked. Yeah, so I understand that.
No, never walked around the city naked. Walked
I'm
this,
just
dude. Dude. How many? Maybe you haven't, but dude, did you ever do like acid in the city
not in the city.
or shrooms in the city? I
Yeah.
never did like mushrooms in the city, but I did acid in the city a couple of times, and
All right.
that was
I'll,
amazing,
I'll
dude.
I'll change it to a yes with no explanation. I,
Good, yeah, dude.
I
We
forgot about it.
one time, one
I just remember waking up at home with a bloody nose and a lot of
oh,
hair
that
in my hand.
sucks.
I'm like, this
I'm
isn't even
sorry.
my hair color. So I have no idea what happened.
We what's Matt's thoughts on going into something like the Kubert School? I think the Kubert School is pretty dope because it's really focused on being a comic book stuff. So I think if you went there to Kubert, I think that would be dope. Um, Going to school and like learning online. I'll tell you, when I was in middle school and high school, I did that like correspondence art school thing. I finished that. You know, where you like
Yeah. Can you draw
do you,
this duck?
well, it was like, hey, do you want to draw a turtle or a pirate?
Yeah, yeah, I remember
Right?
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I drew both because I'm at bar, so I like drew both and sent that in, and then they like sent somebody to the house,
Yep.
and then they like talk to your parents and
Yep.
shit, and then your parents are like, how much is this a month?
Yeah, the guy, my oldest brother drew it. He was a little kid and he drew it and he mailed it. You know, didn't tell my parents. Next thing you know, the guy shows up at the house.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
was like, no, Dad, I really want that. I really would like to do that. And so he was like, okay. And so that like those courses, I actually did learn some shit in those that I didn't learn anywhere else. Like gridding and stuff, like how to transfer a smaller image into a larger image, by creating grids and stuff. Like it was super old school, no computers. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Nobody had fucking emails.
Which
You know
have
what I mean?
protractors and
Dude, part of your kit was like a T square and a fucking, and some rulers and some pencils and stuff, but like they would like send you a package of shit that you needed for that lesson. One lesson was like painting a dog, another one was like drawing a house and shit. Super like uh
like draftsmanship.
yeah. It wasn't like now draw a dragon. No, no,
Yeah, it
no.
wasn't
It
the cool
was
stuff
like
that a little kid wants. This is actual draftsmanship,
yeah,
which,
this
to
was
be
like
fair,
real
I think
shit.
is a lost art in mainstream comics.
I think
It's
a
the,
lot of that shit is needed. It's like, hey, before you start drawing dragons, like, can you draw a fucking phone? Like,
yeah,
before you start drawing fucking spaceships, like, let me see you draw a fucking lamp.
yeah. Well, let me see
You
you
know?
put like three people all on the same orientation, facing the same direction.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
So I mean, the computer definitely helps you do that. But yeah, dude, that was all back then. What's funny was, uh, like the penmanship on the critiques was so good and perfect that I thought it was fake. Right, because yeah, you'd get your lesson back, and it would have this little piece of tracing paper, and it would have like notes and like stuff, and
written
I
in
was just,
script.
yeah, it was like somebody was handwriting it, and I was just like, is this a real fucking person? I didn't say
Wow.
fucking, but I was just like, is this a real person? And it was like, yes, Matt, I'm real, and I was like, oh, cool. So then I suddenly was like, holy shit, like somebody was writing that with like perfect penmanship. So I got into like calligraphy and shit like
Well,
that.
that's another thing that's lost his penmanship, right?
Yeah.
My wife used to tell me stories that her grandfather would make her sit down and practice her penmanship. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and I can't draw anymore. I mean, I can't write. I can't even read my
No.
own handwriting. Yeah, I think.
If I sit here and think about it, I have very good cursive
Yeah, I would have to
penmanship.
concentrate and really like. I'm going to try to impress this person, then I could do it. But if I'm
Yeah,
just
let
casually
me
writing,
send this really pissed off letter. Let me write it in this very nice cursive. But normally, if it's just for me, it looks like fucking like word balloon, like it's all
The,
capital letters and very small. You know what I mean?
the
It's very,
grocery list. What does this say?
yeah,
Avocados? Does this say avocados?
yeah. It's got that like kind of an odd graffiti look where like the pen doesn't come off the page. You know, when I'm writing, I'm just like avocado. Yeah, it's like shorthand, chicken scratch.
And Ginger makes a good point, saying like now that everybody's on YouTube, do you think YouTube is a good tool for an artist?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
I was working on
So
my
much
house.
out there. I think so.
I was working on my house. I went to YouTube to figure out how to do things that I never knew. Before I bought a tool, this is how it works. This is what I think YouTube is an awesome resource. I mean, of course, we're talking on YouTube right now. I mean,
Yeah.
it really is an amazing resource. Here we
Yeah.
go. Yeah, I put
Yeah,
links.
dude,
I
I
put
can't tell
all
you
of
how
that
many
same
things I've like
links
looked
to
up
everybody.
and like have paused while I was like watching it. You know what I mean? Like like my PlayStation 4, I had to open up that mother and like fix it. So I was like watching it on YouTube, like and like fast forwarding and then pausing it and then
Yep.
like doing it and then fast forwarding it and then you know what I mean? Just like dude, YouTube. Worked on my car for YouTube, like had the phone there, kind of like, okay, what do I need to do? Yeah, dude, YouTube is great. So absolutely.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I got to say this. I didn't even realize we've been talking for an hour and 20 minutes. I got to end now because I wake up at 3:30 in the morning and
Man,
it's killing me. And then I'm going to be out in 100-degree weather again tomorrow. But man, this hour went by. Matt, you were a lot of fun.
Hey, man, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Anytime you want to come back, you just ask. You just ask.
Sounds good.
I've been trying to have every Wednesday. I'm like almost booked up till November next week. Eric
Nice.
July yeah.
Who's coming on next time? Who's coming next week?
Eric July.
Eric July. What?
I know. I sent him a message, and apparently he must think I'm somebody else because he agreed to come on and talk to me. I got a lot of things I want to talk to him. It's I got to say,
that shit is amazing, dude. That's pure. Like that's what you should do. Like build up your platform. Have people know who you are. Have people know what your message is, and then just start pumping out fucking amazing product.
I just wanted to talk comic books with people. I moved out here and I didn't know anybody, and I met people like Dave, who was in the comments earlier. So I just wanted to talk comics.
I feel bad. We didn't even talk about comic books, really. Like, who's your favorite comic book character? I know you got to go to bed real quick. Who's your favorite comic book character?
Now you opened up a can of worms. Who's my favorite comic book character?
I know.
I got two different answers. My favorite superhero is Superman. I mean, how can you not love Superman? He's everything that comic books are about. But on a personal level, it's Ben Grimm, the Thing. There's something about this Rocky guy who got the short end of his stick. He loves this girl, but she ended up going with his best friend, and then he helped this buddy out and turned into a monster, and he was angry and bitter, and then became like the soft-hearted. I always say he's the cornerstone of the Fantastic Four. I just love that character. He's this monster on the outside, and then like a plushy, squishy doll on the inside. I think that's like a good metaphor for like most kids. We act like tough, but then somebody says something to us and we get all sad. I love the Thing. He's the best. I'm very protective of the Fantastic Four. So I'm not looking forward for this movie coming out at all.
I think if I called this out before, I would love to see the Fantastic Four done as a period piece.
Yes,
like,
make it look like Mad Men. Mad Men, because they showed Michael Douglas during like the Cuban Missile Crisis, right,
doing fucking shit in the 60s. So it's like, okay, so you had superheroes in the 60s,
right,
with Ant-Man. So like, why not have? Because then you could have, this is 1964. We get our powers. We start doing a bunch of shit. We fight the Mole Man.
Right.
Then we go into a teleporter or some sort of negative zone.
They go faster than light, and they come back.
And then they come back.
It's written into itself. Me and Matt just wrote the script for the first Fantastic Four.
And then you get a little bit of that, like, out of fish, like, oh, it's a different time. But, like, they catch up because they're Fantastic Four. And
right. And Reed Richards is still walking around, like, slapping Sue on the butt. Let's go, Toots. You know what I mean? And
oh, my God.
It would be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what
You
I
know,
would love. That's what I would do.
because they would have to have the suits and the ties, you know, look like astronauts from the '60s. You know,
Yeah, I'm cool with
like
that.
how
I want him to be a
SWD
little
look.
more fabric, a little more like
Yeah,
Alex
driving a
Ross
cool
looking.
looking car with fins to the rocket launch flight. You know, that would be awesome. So, who are your two favorites? Who are your favorites?
Ah, fudge. Um, I always like Batman.
Of
I mean,
course,
that was
yeah.
probably like the last book that I was buying of the mainstream was Batman.
And what got you to stop?
It just wasn't. It just was kind of getting boring. Like the issues, just like nothing was really happening
Yeah.
that I thought was interesting, and it was starting to feel like a chore.
Yep. Yep. Comics shouldn't. Out of the infinite possibilities of comic books, you know, boring should not happen. Like but you know, you're an artist. The budget
Yeah,
is unlimited. The budget is in
yeah,
your brain. And if a
yeah.
comic book is boring, like how could that pass the artist? How could that pass the writer? How could that pass the editor? That is this. It just shows me that nobody cares. You
Yeah.
know. You know.
So who? That's the thing. It's like I get mad. I'm not mad at these people. Really, they took the job. I'm mad at like who hired these people. Like
Right.
who
Yeah.
hired you? Who
Hired
hired
at the
these
bosses. Yeah.
editors? Who did that?
Yeah. Batman's a great character, and I get so mad that like it just seems like they're stomping on him these days. Like now he's the bad guy, rich white guy in Gotham City. You know,
None of
who's
that matters. Like he's constantly giving that money away and using
right?
that money. I mean,
He talks about the Wayne Foundation and all the charity he does, but I don't want to read a comic book about two accountants talking about which charity they're going to give
yes,
money.
dude.
I want to watch a guy
I want to
swinging
see
through
this
the building
guy.
and busting a guy's face.
I also started getting a little tired of like the like he was looking like Iron Man with a cape. You know, and
You're saying all
I
the right
don't
things,
like
man.
to see my Batman like that. I like to see him more like as a fucking force of nature. You know, once
Right.
you start seeing like, oh, he's got armor on.
Then he's
That's
Iron
why
Man.
I like, yeah, like the Ben Affleck when you first see him, like that was fucking dope because it just looked like muscle. You know, even though he had armor and shit, it was
Right.
all like covered with like a fabric, so it like
Right.
looked like that was him, as opposed to
The Tim Burton Batman I didn't like.
you
I
didn't
know
like the
that's
Tim
less.
Burton.
I don't. I only like two Tim Burton movies. I like all the animated stuff he did, but I don't really like his. He never. He never.
I thought the over connection of the Joker also being
Joe
the
Chill.
killer
Yeah.
of his of being Joe Chill. I was like,
Yeah.
what? As like
He's
even as
supposed.
a kid, because I was already reading comic books at that point, big time. So I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Where's Joe
Well,
Chill?
my big problem was he goes into the factory and the Batmobile armors up, and then he drops a bomb and blows up the building. I was like, that's not Batman. Do these people read Batman? He might as well be the
No.
Punisher, you know. And then
Yeah.
they're shooting bullets, and like you said, they're bouncing off the suit. I'm like, that's Iron Man. You know,
Yeah.
Batman wouldn't be in front of the gun. If I'm directing a Batman movie, it's going to be like a horror movie. Like the bad guys are walking around going, I think Batman's here. I think, and
Yes.
and all of a sudden they just get choked out from behind. The gunfire's in the air, and then the other guy looks at Batman, wets his pants, and runs away. You know what I mean? That's Batman.
Yeah.
Batman isn't. If Batman,
That's why I like seeing like the
bullets.
Batman where it's like Red Rain, you know, where like he was turned into a vampire, you know, and he looks fucking scary as shit. I
Yeah.
like that. I like when he looks, dude. In Batman Begins, when Scarecrow sees him and he's just like oozing black shit out of his mouth, I was like, yeah, that's Batman right there, just like amping up the. So like one of the ideas, and I don't know if I'll ever do it, but I love the idea of like somebody putting on like some sort of like a demon mask, demon costume, but like making it look real, right? And like scaring the criminals like that, like you know the sins of the crimes you've committed in the city have cracked you know, a gate in hell, and there's a demon now that's like eating criminals, but it's really just like a guy in a super
Yeah.
sophisticated. So it's almost like a Mysterio kind of a thing. So it's like, yeah, he looks like fucking
That's
like a
cool.
total monster, but you know, he takes the helmet off, and it's like, you know, it's almost like
That's a cool concept.
Man Bat. You know what I mean? I want the thing to look more evil. I want like Batman to look like a fucking wraith.
There you
You
go.
know,
There you
rather
go.
than just like,
There's the
like
name of your
clearly it's a
character, the
fucking
Wraith.
guy.
The Wraith.
I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a movie called The Wraith, but like,
There's already a DC character called the Wraith, but he only had one appearance.
oh
Yeah,
really?
yeah. You know, so who are some of your favorite artists?
Who? Like right now, the guy who's drawn Ultra Mega, I liked him. I like Greg Capullo. I like Dan Panosian.
Damn, I know
I like
I've been trying to get him on my
Lieutenant
channel.
Blueberry and shit. I like Mobius.
Yeah.
I like the guy
Funny
who
that you
did
said
Meta
Lieutenant
Barons.
Blueberry first. I love those Blueberry.
Oh, dude, Blueberry is so good. Jack Davis.
Yeah, awesome.
You know, yeah, a lot of those guys. Some of the newer guys, I do like that Sean Gordon Murphy. I do like some of his Batman stuff. I liked his Chrononaut stuff. I like some of his shit.
Yeah,
that
he's got good moody.
Tokyo Ghost was fucking sweet. Paul Pope, I like. Yeah, I'm all over the place. I'm kind of jazzing about it, you know. Michael Golden, I love. Art Adams, I love.
Yeah,
That
these
fucking Oatley, I think his name was, the guy who did Invincible. I thought his shit was
Ryan
fucking
Otley.
dope.
Is that his
Ryan
name?
Otley, that
Yeah,
shit was killer.
I liked Ryan Otley because it was like so simple, but like elegant. I guess not simple.
Yeah.
Simple is a bad word. It was very elegant. It was like a minimalistic of lines, and it just
Mhm.
it looked like an animated cell each panel. I thought he did and it was very expressive. You know, I thought he did a really good job.
Fucking inside CG, I think Shane Davis's shit is dope. I think
Awesome.
Ethan is fucking amazing. Roquefort's book is fucking out of this world.
Yeah,
that was like, I'm still just flipping through that fucking book.
Yeah,
it's fucking just sitting right here. I got my Fiendish 2 today in the mail and was flipping through that. That's Irene.
Yeah,
Irene. That's fucking like phenomenal. I mean,
Mike Allred is awesome. Don't let anybody dog on you. I love Mike Allred. Is like a perfect blend of old school and new school.
Didn't he do like Ecstatic or something?
Yeah,
didn't he do like
Ecstatics? That's what like his
Madman. He did Madman.
Was what
dude,
he started with.
Yes, I love his shit, dude.
Yeah.
Yep.
I loved
Coop. Fuck.
I even loved his Silver Surfer with Dan Slott run, you know, and Dale Keown. Yeah.
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah.
Dale, okay, you know, we are all of us as artists are all working our way up this fucking mountain. You know what I mean? Some people are up near the top, some people are near the bottom, some people are halfway. Dale Keown is that mountain.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
don't mention him because you can't even comprehend him.
Dude, it's like, it's fucking Dale Keown. You know what I mean? It's like you don't like, you don't get sketches, you don't get thumbnails for stuff from Dale. Like, you just kind of wait for Dale's shit to show up. Like, hey, is he gonna do a cover? Like, he did the Rambo cover, Rambo cover, you know. And it's like, was there any thumbnails? Like, do you have any? No, he just sent it in.
I have friends that aren't even to comics, and they just like, man, the Pit, something about the Pit that came out, you know.
Oh my god, Aaron Lepresti is.
Did you read Wraith of God?
He's fucking so sweet.
Did you read Wraith of God?
Andy Smith is fucking dope, dude.
Yeah, I can't wait for that corridor.
Frege, dude. Yeah. Frege's talent, his when he was doing stuff at Extreme compared to now is like,
yeah, a lot.
I can't wait for his shit, dude.
Yeah,
Rob Willis is fucking insane. Yeah, so many good people.
Really Tucci. There's so many talented. Oh my God. That's what I'm saying. Like the talented guys are all coming to Comicsgate and they're making money. You know.
Yeah.
Graham Nolan. You know, like Graham Nolan is
the workhorse. He's
having like a renaissance right now in his career. You know, look, Joe Frankenstein was amazing.
Yeah.
The Shanu. I'm looking over there because I got the sticker on my fridge. The Shanu. I thought that was like scary. You know, I read the Shanu and I think he was going for claustrophobia. And I got to say, by the time I was done reading that comic, I'm like, I felt trapped. You know, I felt like I couldn't breathe well. And, you know, I thought he did a good job.
Right on.
Yeah. Andy Smith is like comics. You know, what can I say about Andy Smith? And they're all good guys.
Yeah.
You know, I messaged, I was just like, what do I got to lose? You know, what do I got to lose? I'm just going to message these people, see if they want to come on my channel. You know, and they're like, "Oh yeah, right now, give me a call back in 3 weeks. I don't know if they're being whatever, but they're so nice. Can you, I messaged John Byrne. Just why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? The least he could say is no. I mean, the worst he could say is no. How? I'm trying to get Jim Shooter. Oh man,
Dude,
what I love.
he's amazing too, man. Yeah, dude. Dude. I met Jim Shooter one time, and I say I met him. I like bothered him one
Yeah,
time. I was working
I
at a
probably
restaurant,
bother him too.
and I saw him come in, and of course I recognized him. He's like fucking 2 feet taller than everybody else,
Yeah,
and he sat down. I was like, damn, who is that guy? That guy, I think that guy's familiar. And he opened up like a folder, and they were like going through like toy designs or something, and I was like, oh yeah, that's Jim. And I when they left, I didn't bother them while they were eating or anything, but when they left, I was like, hey Jim, big fan, and he was like, kind of gave me a little nod and fucking kept walking. I was like,
I don't know. That
cool. I'm not judging. You don't
I
know
say
what
to
the
be
fuck is going
gracious, but
on
then
with those
again,
people.
nobody's bothering me on the subway after working a hard, 40-hour week or something like that. How would I react to like somebody? Hey, I love you, man. No.
Yeah, I
It'd
know.
probably be cool for 30 years, but after that, you're like, I'm just trying to
It's
get
so
home.
funny, dude. The like who I would like fanboy over. You know what I mean? Like I would see like fucking Benjamin Bratt on the fucking street. You know what I mean? I would see like a bunch of other people and like not give a shit. And then when I'd see like somebody who's working at comic books, I'd be like, holy shit, what's up? Except for the dude who played Muad'Dib in the David Lynch
Oh,
Dune movie,
yeah. Why can't I think of his name? From
Kyle MacLachlan.
Kyle McLaughlin. He from
So we're like
Pete's.
we're sitting on the stoop, right? Just fucking loitering, right? We're just sitting there, and I see him walking down the block towards us, right? And I go, oh shit! And I go, the sleeper must awaken. And he crossed the street. Another person crossed the street. He like crossed the street and like walked past us, and then came back onto our side of the street and like kept going. Totally avoided us. It was funny as shit.
I was in Manhattan, and we went to go see the Red Hot Chili Peppers. This was before they were big. I just realized how pretentious that sounded, but I was just, I don't think these guys were used to being recognized in the street outside of California. Is the point I was trying to make.
Mm-hmm.
And Anthony and Flea are smoking a joint outside the venue. And I'm like, should I talk to him? And my philosophy has always been like, if you're at the venue, you're at work. But if I was to see them in a restaurant like Jim Shooter, I wouldn't bother them. But I'm like, they're at the venue, they're working now. So I walk up, I was like, hey, Flea, can I get a hit? And he just pointed at me and started laughing. No words, nothing. I don't know. And they both were just laughing at me. And I was like, all right, and I walked away.
Did you get the hit off of that joint?
No, they just laughed at me. They just
What
pointed
the
at me and
fuck?
laughed at me until I left.
Dude, okay, here's my can I get a hit off of that joint? I'm at the Russian tea room. So the owner had a son, and he was allowing the son to do like private parties. So they would like close down the restaurant a little early, and they would just turn the whole thing into like a private party club kind of a
Yeah.
vibe. And the son knew Sean Lennon.
Okay.
Right, the son like knew. So the kid was like connected into like Manhattan rich kid stuff. So like so they're like, do you want to work this party? Right, and I was like, fuck yeah, like that's
Extra money.
extra couple $100, man.
Yeah.
Fucking A, like and they'll just be like fucking buck wild. Like I'll just be like walking around with a tray of glasses, but you'll just be seeing like Sodom and Gomorrah fucking rocking and rolling around you, and so one of the nights, Puff Daddy fucking comes in. Sean Puff Daddy, he comes in with like a whole entourage of security. He comes in, sits down at a table, and I hear him go, I want some DP. Right? He tells the waitress, I want some DP, which is Dom Perignon. Right?
Okay.
So he wants some
My
DP.
mind went elsewhere, but I was like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, I want some double penetration. I'm like, can't help you there, friend. Ain't my fucking bag, bro. No, but so he sat down and they started drinking and shit and partying, and I came by with with a tray, and I was just like picking up trays. So I had the tray, and one of the dudes had a blunt, and I wasn't even like, hey, can I get a hit of that? I just went like this, like I did like a little crap thing like that to him.
Mhm.
you know, and he fucking handed it to me. Now I didn't see Puff Daddy hit this blunt, but it was a blunt that was moving around at his table. So they handed it to me, and I puffed it, and then everybody. And as I was puffing it, I looked over, and everybody at the table was staring at me. Like even Puff Daddy, they were all like looking at me, and I was just like, and then like handed it back and was like thanks, and then like kept moving, and like as soon as I like left that table, like I saw the manager like come walking over and like ask them to put it out. But that was pretty funny though. So I was baked as shit. It was good times.
Yeah, Manhattan's great. Like everyone's like, I'll remember like bumping into when you go to see bands back then. You know, in these small venues, you can't help it. Like next, they're hanging out or whatever. Like you said, CBGBs go. Like I would say, I had to go to the bathroom, and you cut through the bath, and you'd pass like the back room, the dressing room or whatever it was. So I was just like, I want to go talk to Sonic Youth. I want to
Oh
go see
yeah.
Sonic Youth. I said, I want to talk to him. So there's a bouncer there, and I'm like, I gotta go to the bathroom. And he lets me go by, and then I just made a right into the locker.
Get to hang out with Sonic Youth.
And Thurston Moore was there, and the whole band, Kim Gordon, they were all just sitting, and they were being interviewed. And I just waited for a pause, and I was just like, "Hey, you ever gonna make the Velvet Monkeys movie?" Because he made an album with a couple other guys that was supposed to be the soundtrack to an imaginary movie. And they said to each other, "Whoever makes it big first is going to produce the movie." So I just said, and Thurston looks at me and points, and he waved me over, and he sat me down next to him, and we talked like we were best friends. We're like, yeah, going on and on.
Oh shit, that's awesome.
Shot for this imaginary movie, and I just remember Kim Gordon staring at me like daggers, And then the guy from Rolling Stone was like, "Oh, Ed, can we get back to the?" So I was like, "All right." He was pleasant. He was nice. And so I got up and left. I went to the bathroom. Otherwise, the bouncer would have been like, "You didn't even." And when I came back, he went, "John," and he called me. Remembered my name, and he called me, and we sat down, and and I was a fan before, but I'll always say good things about. He didn't have to call me back the second time. That proved that he enjoyed the conversation.
Nice.
Everybody in New York's got stories like that. You bump it, meet.
Dude, so many stories. That's why it's like you got to leave your hometown. You got to like move to a big city. Yeah, so you have crazy stories. I did ecstasy with the drummer of the Rollins band.
Oh yeah.
One time, yeah, dude. Like I knew this chick, and we went to the tunnel. We went to the tunnel, and we started doing some. And she like had a couple of friends. And so we were all started doing ecstasy, and I started fucking rolling pretty hard, and we started talking, and I was like, "So what do you do for a living?" And he was like, "I'm a musician." I'm like, "Cool. What do you play?" He's like, I play drums," and he's like just fucking rolling too.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember his name. I was big.
I don't remember his name, but he was like a little guy with like a buzzed head.
Yeah,
and I was like, "Oh yeah, drums. What band?" And he was like, Rollins band, and I was just like, "What?"
I'm trying to remember his
name,
bro.
I'm like that, and I was just like, "That's so fucking cool, dude." And he was like, "Thanks." And then that was like all. Then we like didn't talk about it again for the rest of it. For the rest of the
bass player Andrew. Why can't I remember his Andrew Weiss? I went to go see, believe it or not, the Mentors and Gigi Allen. So we're going to see Ladies' Night. Mentors and Gigi Allen. And there was this big fat guy, must have been like 6'6". I couldn't see anything. And I'm just like, I can't push this guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Push this guy. It was like pushing the Blob from the comics. And then there was a big, gigantic guy behind me. And I turn around, he's got long, curly hair. And I just start talking to him. And then I just go, "You're Andrew Weiss from the Rollins band." He's like, "Yeah." We started shaking hands. And he just came out with that Wartime CD. It's like, and he was like, "What do you think of Wartime?" I was like, "Dude, it's terrible. I can't, And he was just like, "What?" He just started laughing. I was like, "I don't particularly like it. I like the Rollins band, but I don't like Wartime." We were just shaking hands, and he was just laughing. And then he went and he tapped the guy on the shoulder, and he goes, "My buddy, can't see the show." And he's like, "Oh, sorry, man." I was like, "Oh man, I was just such a."
Did you go to the wetlands a lot? Or did you go to the
wetlands? Yeah, what's it called? Do you ever go to Sundance out in Suffolk County?
No, I rarely left.
Yeah,
rarely left.
It's funny. I went to go see Motorhead. So we go to see Motorhead out in Sundance. It's out in Suffolk. And my friend Jimmy takes the dad.
Is that like a stadium? Is that like a
no?
A large?
It's a bar. It's a bar.
Oh, okay.
That had been. I saw the Chili Peppers there, but I saw Nirvana there. They would have a bands. It was a small venue. It was great.
Okay.
So we're seeing Motorhead, and then slam dancing, moshing, whatever you want to call it. And then we go outside. Jimmy can't find the car keys.
Oh fuck.
We're like an hour away, so it's like 3:00 in the morning. So we explain to the guy. The guy lets us in. They're sweeping. The lights are on. He's like, "Yeah, look for your car keys." It happens every show. So we're looking for car keys. We can't find the car keys. So now he's got to bite the bullet. Jimmy's got to call his sister Jean. So like, oh man, she's gonna kill us. She's got to come out and give us the spare keys. So we're just sitting. The sun's coming up. We're sitting on a stoop. And I'm like, he's waiting to get killed by his sister. And I'm like, oh, sister was scary. And Lemmy comes walking out. Just comes walking out the door. And he looks, show's over, kids. What are you doing? We're like 18 years old. He's like, whoa, show's over, kids. What are you doing? And Jimmy doesn't even realize. He's so distraught. He just goes, oh, I lost my car keys. And I had to call my dad. My sister's coming out. My dad's going to kill me. He's never going to let me. And I'm just like, that's Lemmy. That's like, I'm so starstruck. I that's Lemmy. And then Lemmy just goes, oh, man. And he opens up his vest. He goes, here's a sandwich. And he gives Jimmy a sandwich. And Jimmy's just like, I'm like, don't eat the freaking sandwich from Lemmy's bare chest. I mean, I like the guy, but I don't want his germs.
Yeah. Now I'm like, oh, cool, a sandwich. But now that you're like, like all like
Sim King, that's the drummer's
with
name.
his like, here it's warm.
Yeah, it was warm. It was a warm cheese sandwich.
I'm good.
Yeah, the drummer's name was Sim Kane. Thank you. It was killing me that I couldn't remember.
Thanks.
Yeah. I could talk New York stories all day long with you, man. But I got to go to bed.
Yeah, it's time to go. It's bedtime for Bonzo.
Yeah, I know. I'm an old. Here I am talking about my old punk rock days, and now I'm like, I got to go to bed. How the mighty have fallen, huh?
Dude, I hear you, dude. I could drink water and ibuprofen.
Yeah,
eat that shit like candy in the morning.
Yeah, I know. I'm just dreading tomorrow's going to be another 100-degree day. We already got the work laid out, so I know what's waiting for me in the morning. It's going to be rough. Yeah.
You be like, hey, boss, need to get some water over here, boss.
Yeah.
All right. You can have some water, boss. Thank you, boss.
Shaking the bush, shaking the bush.
Shaking the bush, boss. Hey, cool. That's how I'm imagining, like some Cool Hand Luke shit.
Oh, yeah. We all got, like, shaking the bush is one of the things we all say. Shaking the bush, shaking the bush. Well, I got to say, this was a pleasure. I was in a bad mood when I started tonight. Just buddy. Had a rough day. You put me in a good night. You put me in a good mood, rather. Thank you. Thank you, all these people showing up. A lot of names that I don't recognize. Thank you so much. I'm a nobody on the internet, so thank you for showing up and talking. Thank you, Matt. It was a pleasure.
Wow. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
You come back anytime you want. This is a pleasure. Next time you come on, we're just talking New York. We're just talking New York stories.
Yeah.
Chris. Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much. Thank you. Good show.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah. Give this guy
anything you wanna take us out? Anything you want to say?
No, other than keep creating, be brave, be honest, be fair. The world's what we make of it. So fucking be all those things that you want the world to be, and fucking hail Comicsgate.
Yeah.
And it's not a fucking badge, man. Like, let's fucking we're going to put CG on the map. You know what I mean? They're not going to be able to they're not going to be able to stop us. So FSU, let's fuck some shit up.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, everybody. It's bedtime for Bonzo over here. Bye-bye, everybody.
Get some warm milk.